Good day, welcome to the Automotive Dad and welcome to the 2024 Mercedes Benz Vito. This is a crew, this is a 119 and this is everything that you could possibly want in a family car, all in one, guys, and it's cheaper than a V-Class. So join me as I take a look around this and show you all the standout features and just why I think this is potentially the best family car money can buy. Though it's a van, but you know what I mean. Now, starting with the front, and the most significant improvement that I can see is this entire front end has kind of been redesigned. Nice new grille, nice new flowing lines, really sporty looks. These headlights, an optional extra, look really aggressive, and the whole front end just seems to be upgraded and improved to such an extent that this whole V-Class and Vito gap is being bridged, because now you can barely tell the difference. This one's finished in Alpine Grey, a free colour that actually looks really, really cool. But front end wise, I mean, you can't complain. It looks good, right? Now, down the side of this vehicle, of which you can only see a little bit of because it's so long, it's a really nice design. I really like the fact that this isn't like a traditional van where basically it's a panel van with some seats in the back as a crew. This isn't. This is so much more. Mercedes kind of take pride in their design, so nice flowing design cues. I like it. 17-inch diamond cut alloy wheels with a good amount of chunk on them. These are optional. They're not my favourite wheel. There are better wheel designs. There's like a multi-spoke wheel. That's my favourite design, but either way, a good amount of chunk on these, so potholes, they are not a problem. But the entire side profile just kind of works. It doesn't look that boring, and although this is a very, very long vehicle, so to keep that interesting for the duration is difficult, Mercedes have done a really, really good job of keeping it interesting. Now, the back end hasn't had huge upgrades. The biggest upgrade, these lights. The rest of it kind of has remained mostly the same, slight tweaks and improvements. The back end looks good. There's nothing really much to shout about because there's not much you can do back here because it's a big door. What else can you do with it? In fact, it's not covered in plastic like so many competitor vehicles would have, and it's just one big piece of metal, which I'll get to shortly. It looks all right. It looks interesting. These lights are the most interesting part. They are a really nice upgrade from what were previously their LED lights. Can't complain. Back end looks good. Now you join me inside, where you may have noticed in some of the previous footage that I have a can of Monster up here. The reason being, A, it's my favourite can of Monster, not product placement, I just like this one. Aussie Lemonade, it's great. Secondly, the fact that you have a cup holder that can take a drink of this size up here is really important, because I've had vans previously that could literally only take like a can of Red Bull up here. So it's really impressive that you can just perfectly fit a giant can up there, or maybe even a bottle of beer for the end of the day when you've finished, you're parked up and you're about to get out on the way home from the shop, and definitely not drink driving. Anyway, more to the interior. When you step in, you don't feel like you're getting into a van, which is really, really shocking, because even only a generation ago you got in and you thought, okay, I'm getting into a van. It feels premium, but it still feels like a van. And now with high gloss piano black finishes, a massive MBUX infotainment screen, premium buttons, a new steering wheel design with haptic controls, more on that in a second. Everything suddenly feels a lot more high quality. These leatherette seats, which are front and back, optional extra. You can have cloth if you want. The leather is, or leatherette, really, really good quality. The whole interior just feels premium. Again, bridging that gap where, okay, fair enough, a V-Class would have a little bit more real leather, but it's also like £20,000 more. The plastic's going to be more hard wearing, especially from a family point of view. You're going to worry about scratching leather. You're not going to worry too much about scratching leatherette and a bit of plastic. But the plastic doesn't look cheap. It looks really good quality. The buttons have a nice finish. My issue with the haptic buttons on the steering wheel is I think haptic buttons are a little bit useless. And yeah, a lot of manufacturers went there, but even like Volkswagen have gone back on their decision to do that and are now re-implementing buttons, because to control the audio can be a little bit jerky, because you have to kind of slide the button up and you don't always get it right, or you go over a pothole, suddenly your music's either too quiet or too loud and deafening you. Some of these are set as buttons and they do feel really good, and if you're able to concentrate on them, I don't really have an issue with them. But while you're driving, I feel like it's just a little bit too much effort. But I will add to this the fact that you have heated seats on these, part of the winter pack, heated steering wheel, comfortable with an armrest. This is a great seating position, and from a technology point of view, this one's got a reversing camera and parking sensors all round. It's got advanced driving capabilities. You can take your hands off the steering wheel, but you shouldn't. As a driving position, as a front end part of the cabin, this just feels quality, and there's loads of headroom up here. I could lower the seat if I really needed to. I just feel like this is a really, really great quality front end of a vehicle. My personal choice would be to have 2 seats in the front instead of the 3, but that's just my own personal choice. Can't complain. This is a really, really comfortable and nice place to be. Now the back end of this is obviously gargantuous, and the fact that you could fit 3 full car seats in the back is really impressive. But what really annoys me is the fact that because one of the seats goes forward, you only have 2 ISOFIX points in the back. So you've got 2 in the back here. If you put a 3rd row in, same thing again, they only seem to put 2 in. I can't find the documentation to show me, and neither can the dealer, that they can have one that gives you 3 ISOFIX points regardless of if that seat tilts or not. It seems to be they only do 2, which is such a massive shame if you were to have triplets. Ultimately, it comes down to probably a maximum safe weight thing, I don't know. But aside from that, access is easy. Kids love it because it's a good height and they can see out the window and they enjoy it. As you can see, it can do front facing or rear facing with bundles of space, like not an issue whatsoever. Kids might not be able to get up easily themselves, and from personal experience, when you put them in, watch out for this, because you might accidentally hit them with that and it hurts. Doesn't hurt you, definitely hurts them because they let you know. It's just such a shame that you can't get 3 full-size ISOFIX car seats in the back like you could in something like a Range Rover or a Volvo XC90. So that's a real shame. But I mean, worse things. Other thing to note is that there's good audio at the back, good audio at the front. There's speakers front and back. So often vans only have speakers right in the front. Well, this has got a 2-way loudspeaker system which covers you front, back and really back, to make sure that the whole cabin is filled up with noise that isn't just your children, but also that the children can listen to their favourite songs. And if it's like mine, it's basically Cars on the Road, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. The back end is the important part of this, especially from a family point of view, and especially as the fact that this is about as long as a battleship. The back end is so big that you don't have to fold down your prams, you can just keep them fully assembled, and with a cargo system here with some ratchet straps, you can tie them down. Never ever do you have to lay a pram down ever again, you can just keep them fully assembled. The load height isn't even ridiculous. This is a lower load height than you would get in almost any car that I can possibly think of besides something like a Porsche Boxster. It's huge, it's gargantuous. Go on family road trips, fill it up, you won't even notice it. The amount of space here is just gargantuous, it's astronomical, and it's perfect for the family life. You don't even need this to be the long wheelbase. You could just go for a standard or a short wheelbase and still be happy, and still probably never have to fold down a pram again. The fact that this is so gargantuous, I proved a point by having 2 fully assembled prams in the back, not fold them down, and then put all the other stuff in. It was fine. And really my only bugbear with the back of this is one thing and one thing only. This unnecessarily gargantuously heavy door. A door which is basically the size of your house. And I appreciate in conventional van terms, it totally makes sense. It's huge and unnecessary. If I was to spec one of these, I would not want one of these doors. I just want normal opening doors. Because if you have to reverse into a bay, you cannot possibly open this a little bit to get anything out if you're backed up against a wall, say. Whereas if you had a conventional door, you might be able to pop one open and just kind of reach in and get something. Not a chance with this door because it's huge and heavy and just unnecessary. But that's it, really. That's the only unnecessary thing. I know it's based off a van, and I know loads of vans have these. I just don't like these types of doors. So from a driving position, from a driving point of view, this feels good. It doesn't feel cumbersome and large like you expect a van to feel. It feels engaged. The steering doesn't feel massively rewarding. It does feel somewhat light, but that's nice. It doesn't wander around. It's really, really good. The throttle's incredibly responsive. The 9G Tronic box is a bliss. Honestly, it changes so smoothly and exactly, it's just great. Now, this being a 119 means it's 190 horsepower and around about 470 newton meters of torque. So you get the idea this doesn't hang around, and also this out of warranty is in the perfect position to be remapped to offer some really, really good power. In corners, you don't really feel the weight or size of this vehicle. It feels almost nimble, dare I say, and car-like. The only thing that doesn't feel car-like in this specific van is the brakes. They still feel slightly vanny, but the fact is it's made to take weight. This can have 700 and I believe 39 kilograms of payload weight. If you don't have it as a crew, you have it as a normal van, you can get, I think, 753 kilograms of payload weight. The only annoying thing is the beeping, which you might hear. That's the thing telling me I'm speeding when actually I was just going into a 40 and speeding up on the 40. It just hadn't figured it out yet. It's really, really, really annoying. That's the only annoying thing about driving this van. Otherwise, it's an absolute bliss and doesn't feel like you're driving a van at all. This is really good. From the outside, I think it looks fantastic. The front's been upgraded, the outside looks really good. I wouldn't have these wheels. I definitely wouldn't option that rear door. I'd option something else, but aside from that, great. The interior is comfortable, perfect for family life, and it's 20 grand cheaper than a V-Class. I mean, no brainer, really. But whilst it's £20,000 cheaper than a V-Class, it's still £50,000 plus VAT. That's £60,000 on the road, or the best part of £650, £700 a month, which is a flat. Depending where you live, that might also be a house, but if you live in London, that's probably a bedroom. In fact, might not even be a bedroom. That's really expensive, but then again, everything's really expensive. I found out you can spec a 5 Series to 100 grand the other day. But if you can justify the cost, I think this is probably the best all-round family vehicle you can buy, because it gives the parents loads of space, their own space, loads of space in the back for the kids, loads of space for everything else. If you're driving a massive road trip, I wouldn't think you'd want anything else, because with 190 horsepower this gets up and goes, has more than enough torque, doesn't feel the weight or size that it is, and it's just really, really impressive. You've just got to be careful of height restrictions, because it feels so much like a car you might forget and drive under a barrier which is like 1.9 meters, at which point you're taking the roof off of this, because this needs 2 meters or more, because it's 1.935. So don't take it as 1.9, and probably don't even take 2 meters, because not everyone measures the same. Assume that it's 2.1 to be safe, but most multi-storey car parks you should be fine. Then I guess in summary, this is a really good van, a really practical van, a really safe van, a great looking van, and that gap has been bridged between van Vito and passenger car V-Class, because I'd have one of these over a V-Class, so I'm not worried about scratching bits and pieces. This is made to be used instead of just looked at.